everyone, it's Jonathan here, founder of Driving Academy. In today's video, we're going to be showing you exactly how to do the new and improved 2025 version of the pre-trip inspection. If you don't know what a pre-trip inspection is, it's super important if you want to get yourself a CDL license. Here at Driving Academy, we're the best CDL school in the country to help people just like you get themselves a CDL license, and we have locations opening up nationwide. Now, why is this video so important? One of the steps of actually getting your CDL license is passing the CDL road test. Now, the hardest part to many people on the CDL road test is this part right over here, which is going to be section number 1, and that's the inspection section. Here, you're going to have to know how to inspect both the inside and outside of the vehicle. After that, you're going to have to know how to park the vehicle up to 4 different ways, and then you're going to have to know how to drive the truck on the road itself. So what we're deciding to do for you today is actually give you a free guide, step-by-step wording on exactly what you have to do in order to pass the pre-trip inspection. Now, one of the cool things about being a student here is we'll give you a word-for-word script, so you don't have to memorize this video or anything like that. And we're going to make it super easy for you to make sure that whatever we teach you gets put into your head so you can pass the very first time. Because our mission here is to help 1 million people get on the road to freedom. So let's get started in showing you the new 2025 version of the CDL pre-trip inspection. Now, we're just going to be talking about the outside today, and then make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see what the inside of the video actually looks like itself. So let's get going. So let's get started with the actual pre-trip inspection. Now, before we actually get started, you're going to want to make sure that for the actual road test, in most cases, you're going to start off with an inside inspection itself. And if you want to know what that video looks like, make sure you check the description below, because we have an entire training video on how to do a proper in-cab inspection and air brake test. But once you pass the in-cab inspection air brake test, now it's actually time to do the outside inspection itself, right? That being said, what we're doing here in our Linden, New Jersey branch is actually looking at all the trucks that are happening in the background, which is all about learning how to park the vehicle. But before we actually get to park the vehicle on the actual road test, you're going to have to make sure you master this pre-trip inspection. So we're going to come up to the truck itself, and the first thing we're going to be looking for is going to be, we're checking out the lights. So we're checking out all of our lenses and covers. So my headlights, my marker lights, my clearance lights, everything like that. I'm going to say it's in the proper color, it's not broken, not missing, and it's working properly, right? One of the parts of the actual in-cab inspection that a lot of people forget is doing what's called an external light check. That's super important to make sure you get the maximum amount of points for the actual test so you're able to pass. So what does that actually look like? Before you actually start the outside, you're going to want to ask the examiner for assistance. You're going to say, hey, Mr. Examiner, I would like to do an external light check. The examiner is then going to come out of the vehicle. He's going to be in front of the vehicle. You're then going to have to describe and turn on what light you're actually checking. So we're checking everything from headlights, high beams, turn signals, four-way flashers, all in the front, down the side, and down the back of the vehicle. Super, super, super important that you do not skip that step. When you actually do come out of the vehicle, then all we're really doing is checking the lenses to make sure it's proper color and not broken and in good condition is great for that. From there, now we're going to check underneath the hood. So underneath the hood, I'm not going to see any puddles on the ground, no dripping fluids on the underside of the engine or transmission. And then I'm going to make sure that my vehicle is sitting level, which means there's no issues with my suspension itself, right? Now, the next thing we're going to do is open up the actual hood, and then we're going to start checking the fluid levels of the engine, and we can only check those things when the engine is off. So to open up the hood itself, most trucks have 2 different latches, one latch on this side, the other latch on this side, and we have many different trucks in our fleet, so we teach our students exactly how to do this no matter what type of truck that is actually in. So I open up that latch over here. Now it's time to open up this latch on this side. And now, super important safety tip is that you're going to have to know how to unload and open up this super heavy hood. So 3 points of contact, 1 foot on the actual grill piece that is needed, 2 hands on the actual top of the hood, and then you just pull back and use your muscle and use your weight. And that's pretty much it. So all we did was talk about the lights, talk about underneath the hood, and make sure there's no drips, make sure it's sitting level, and let's get deep into seeing how do we inspect the engine next. All right, so now that the hood is actually open, the first thing we're going to be checking for is going to be our fluid level. Now, there's going to be 3 different fluid levels that are super important for us when it comes to operating a tractor trailer. One is going to be the engine oil, second is going to be the actual power steering fluid, and third is going to be the coolant. Now, depending on the way the engine is, these places might be in different areas in your truck that you're actually inspecting. I also want to let you know that there's actually no in particular order that you have to go into. So whatever order that you like, that's okay with me. The other thing that you do have to know is you just have to make sure you're mentioning the proper description for each thing. And really, for these fluid levels, we just want to make sure that we're checking to make sure they're all at the proper safe operating level. So we're going to be checking all these fluid levels when the engine is off. So the first thing we're going to be looking at is actually our engine oil dipstick, which is this right over here, right? Most of the time it is going to be yellow inside your truck, and it's going to be on the driver's side of the vehicle in most cases. Next, we're going to be pointing to is our power steering fluid. This is our power steering fluid dipstick right over here. Now, because both of these two fluids have dipsticks, what we're going to tell the examiners, we're going to pull out the dipstick, wipe it down, recheck it, and make sure it's in the safe operating level between the minimum and the maximum line itself, right? Now, the third fluid that we're going to be checking for is going to be our coolant level. So this is our coolant fluid right over here. This does not have a dipstick, so we're going to say, okay, we can see through the sight glass it's at proper operating level, and we will never open up the cap if the engine is hot. So most of these places do have an actual sight glass that you can see, where it's a clear container, so it's very easy to see the actual coolant level. So that's pretty much all we have to worry about when it comes to the fluids itself. Those three fluids, we want to make sure they're at safe operating range. We already checked for leaks underneath, so we're good there. The next thing we're going to check in the fluid category is going to be all of our hoses. So all of our hoses on the side of our engine cannot be leaking or cannot be missing or torn or cracked or anything like that. That being said, no air leaks, so we're going to be listening to those. We don't see any drippings happening on the actual side of the engine. And we make sure that we check on both sides, the driver's side and the passenger side of the vehicle itself. All right, so now that we finished pretty much everything that you have to know about the engine, now let's talk about tires. Now for the actual test itself, you're only going to have to really understand about the actual steering axle. You won't be asked to inspect any other axle. But we're getting you ready for the test, but also getting you ready for real life. So we want to make sure that in real life you are inspecting every single tire, every single axle, every single day. That's what's going to keep you safe on the road and save you a lot of money if you find problems when they're small. There's going to be three parts of the tires. There's going to be tire inflation, tire condition, and tire tread depth, right? So our tire inflation, we're going to check with the tire gauge, right? This is going to be the valve cap and stem right over here. We're going to check with the tire gauge, and we should have anywhere between 90 and 100 PSI on the tires itself. Our tread depth on the front tire should be no less than 4/32 of an inch. On our back tire should be no less than 2/32 of an inch. Super important there. Now, when it comes to the tire condition, my tread is evenly worn. There's no cuts or damage to the tread or to the sidewall, no bulges, and it's sealed to the rim pretty securely itself. And then last piece of that, we're gonna check our valve cap and stem, right? So we checked that for inflation. We also have to make sure that it's not missing, not damaged, and not leaking itself. And this tire seems to be in good condition. All right, so after the tire, we're going to be going down to the rim. We want to make sure that the rim is in good condition, which means no welding repairs, not cracked or damaged, and no rust trails that might indicate looseness. We're also going to be checking for our studs and our bolt holes. And our studs and our bolt holes cannot be damaged and cannot be out of round or elongated itself, right? So we want to make sure there's no cracked or missing bolts or nuts on the actual rim itself. From there, we're going to be checking our lug nuts. Now, when it comes to our lug nuts are all present, not missing or loose at all, and no indications of looseness such as rust trails or shiny treads. So if you saw some rust trails, that might mean some like water got in there, and that might indicate that there's loose, or shiny treads of actual metal, which means too much vibration actually happened, and that can be dangerous for you. All right, now that we've finished everything on the front, let's go behind the tire and see what we have to check. We're going to have to check our spring mounts itself cannot be cracked, broken, or missing any parts. Our shock absorber is not damaged or is not leaking, and it is secure. You'll be able to find the air ride suspension. It has to be secure, not damaged, and not leaking itself. And that covers everything that you have to worry about when it comes to the suspension. From there, we're going to be talking about our brakes. It's very difficult to see, but behind here on the wheel itself, you're going to have our brake contaminants, right? There's no contaminants such as grease, oil, or brake on the brake lining of the drum that can affect the braking capacities of the actual braking system itself. And that's pretty much everything you have to talk about when it comes to behind the actual tire. All right, so as a quick recap, what we did, the lenses we did underneath the vehicle, we opened up the hood, we checked everything in the engine that we have to check. We checked our front axle when it comes to our tire, suspension, and brakes itself. And that's pretty much everything that we need to know when it comes to the actual hood piece being open. At this point, we can now close the hood. And again, this is for your CDL Class A pre-trip inspection. Super important that you're following things correctly. So now that the hood is closed, we'll continue with the actual side of the vehicle. We're going to be going down the driver's side of the vehicle to make sure everything is good. Which is the first thing we're going to be checking is our mirrors. Our mirrors are traffic monitoring devices, are secure, in place, no missing nuts or bolts, and are clean and in good working condition itself, right? All right, so the next thing we're gonna be talking about is our batteries. So our batteries can be in many different parts of the vehicle. This is where the battery actually is. So this is our container. You don't have to open this up for the actual examiner itself. You wanna make sure that the batteries itself are secure, the connections are tight, the wires are not cracked or worn, and there's no excessive corrosion on the batteries itself. Super, super important we're checking these things out. Because if you got no batteries, you can't start your truck, and it's not a good feeling to have. From there, we're going to follow along, and we're going to check our fuel tank, right? Our fuel tank and our DEF tank. We want to make sure that the caps are on tight, right? There's no leaks from the tank or from the lines itself, and the tank is secure, and that's pretty much all we have to do when it comes to the actual fuel tank or DEF tank itself. From there, you're going to follow me, get closer. So because we're doing a pre-trip inspection on a Class A vehicle, this is a very important piece of the actual vehicle, the part that connects the tractor to the trailer. Before we actually get into those details, we got to talk about our frame, right? So our frame is secure, not damaged, not cracked, no holes on the frame or frame members like this cross member over here that gets connected. You can also check the actual frame and frame members of the trailer itself, and we're going to say the same exact thing for that as well. So you can conquer all your framing from right over here. So now we're going to be talking about our air electric lines itself, right? So my connectors on my tractor and on my trailer. So this is my glad hands on my tractor, on my trailer, and then this is the connections on my trailer, are all seated and sit in good condition, right? They're sealed and there's no leaks and they're good to go. This is my electric line, my air lines right over here are not cut, chafed, spliced, or worn, and they're not dragging or tangled against each other, and they're not dragging against any tractor parts itself, right? So with that, we're checking our connectors, make sure that's good to go, no leaks. I'm going to be listening for air leaks itself. Don't hear any of that. My lines are all in good condition, not cut, spliced, or worn, or taped, and they're not tangled with each other and not dragging against any of the tractor parts itself. And that's pretty much everything you have to talk about when it comes to this section itself. So this is probably a part of the truck you have not seen that often because we're actually underneath the trailer. We're going to be inspecting the fifth wheel connection, and this is how the trailer physically connects to the actual tractor itself. And you're able to hook up and unhook any type of trailer that you want. So we're going to be checking our fifth wheel skid plate, which is this top piece right over here. Our fifth wheel skid plate is securely mounted with the fifth wheel platform right over here. It's not cracked or damaged at all, and it is in good condition, and it has proper lubrication. The next thing we're going to be talking about is our kingpin. Now, I'm not talking about like a king drug lord or anything like that. I'm talking about the kingpin for the actual trailer. So this piece that comes off the trailer right over here, that's going to be considered a kingpin. And that cannot be bent or damaged or cracked in any way. From there, we're going to be talking about that there's no gap between the actual fifth wheel and the actual, what we call our apron. And then we're going to be checking our apron, which is this bottom piece of the actual trailer itself that connects to the fifth wheel. And that cannot be damaged, cracked, or cracked in any way. All right, so now how do we actually make sure that the actual tractor and trailer never disconnect from each other? We're going to be talking about our locking jaws, which is going to be the thing that locks the kingpin in place. We want to make sure that this is locked securely and there's no space between the locking jaws and the kingpin. From there, we're going to want to make sure that our release arm, which is on the side over here, is in secure position, locked in place as well. So we make sure that everything is locked in place and there's no chance of these things ever separating by itself. And then the last thing when it comes to your fifth wheel is going to be the sliding plate, right? So depending on what type of fifth wheel you have, some fifth wheels can actually slide forward or back. This one, we don't have it, so we don't have to worry about it. But if yours does, you want to make sure that your locking pins are in secure position to make sure that the fifth wheel is locked in place and cannot slide forward or backward. And that's everything you really have to know about the connection when it comes to the kingpin, the gap, the apron, the fifth wheel, everything underneath the actual hood itself. When it comes to the test, you don't physically have to come underneath the trailer like I am here, but you can actually say all this stuff from the outside on the driver's side of the vehicle and let the examiner know and just ask him, hey, would you like me to go underneath? Most of the time, the examiner's going to say no, there's no need for you to do that. All right, so now we're going to be talking about our landing gear. Our landing gear has to be fully raised, no missing parts. The support handles are in good, secure condition with our landing pads as well, and our crank handle has to be secure as well. So that looks good. The other thing with our landing gear, that we have to make sure that there's proper space between the fifth wheel and the landing gear, because if there's not, when the tractor and trailer turns, these mud flaps will damage the landing gear or vice versa, and that's not a good thing to know about. All right, congratulations, you made it to the back of the vehicle. Now, in the back of the vehicle is the easiest part. All we gotta do is talk about our lights. So any type of lights that we have on the top and bottom, all proper color, covers and lenses are in good condition and proper color like we talked about. Reflectors and reflective tape are all in good condition, proper color, and affixed to the vehicle. My door is secure and can open and close properly without any issues itself. Now, if you made it to the end of this video, congratulations, you're one step closer in helping yourself get on yourself to the road to freedom. So at the end of the day, you can actually drive on the major highways of the United States of America, just like the highway right behind me, and you can make a boatload of money doing it, right? An average CDL driver can make about $75,000 a year. Now that's average. If you're a student here at Driving Academy from the best CDL school in the entire country, you're no longer average. Our mission is to help 1 million people get on the road to freedom, and we got locations nationwide. So if you like this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel so we're always adding extra value to you to help you get yourself on the road to freedom with your CDL license. Come and be one of our students behind us here. Learn how to drive the tractor trailer, because the inspection is just the first part of the actual road test itself. After that, you're going to have to know how to master the actual backing up and make sure you're able to shift and drive and all that stuff. We have our state-of-the-art driving simulators. We open up 7 days a week, which means you get to pick your own training schedule. And all you need to get started is $500 down, and we can work out a payment plan for the rest. So what are you waiting for? Let's get going. And it's time to help these guys get on the road to freedom. Hope to see you soon at one of our locations nearby, CDLDrivingAcademy.com. Thanks. I'll see you soon. Hey, thanks so much for watching this video. If you want to get your CDL license, you know where to go. Check out our website, CDLDrivingAcademy.com, right over there. And if you like this video, you'll definitely like this video right over here. So make sure you check that out. But before anything else, make sure you subscribe. And I'll see you soon.